Alright, we're going to try and get through the last of the free comic book day comics. Still got a pretty decent sized stack. I finished off reading them finally. And I'm going to try and get it done. There's no way I'm going to get it done in one episode. We're going to probably have to do 2 episodes yet. So we'll have 5 total, I'm guessing. But we'll see what happens. Starting out with stories from the Atlas Comics Library. Got that at my buddy's shop, Vendetta Comics. Only one that stamped the comics this year, which is surprising. This is a nice EC style, old horror type comics feeling. Starting out with The Raving Maniac. It's a guy that comes into a newspaper office and just starts going off on the newspaper editor and not liking his stories from the past and just has problems with it. He's got some, he can tell he has some mental issues, and he goes off on some other people with some things. Now we get to see why and what happens with them. Then we get The Clock Strikes, which is your basic story of making a deal with the devil type thing, and your time is up, and if you don't pay the piper, you're going to end up having the piper just take what you owe in his own manner. Next story is called Where Monsters Dwell. So I don't want to show the first pages because then you see the last page of the last story. But in this story, we get like a scientist that has a device that opens up this portal type thing to other worlds, and we get to see who goes in the portal, what comes out of the portal. We get interesting, strange creatures that happen to come from there, and it also kind of warps your body if you go through the portal. You kind of get this weird facial warp thing going on, and you find some other people in the portal that have that issue, and it has an interesting outcome. Then we get Rain, which is kind of like a Vietnam War story where a group of military personnel are trying to get to a certain destination, but they come across a raging river because the rain won't stop running. So they're kind of pinned down in a certain area. So they want to set up camp and get all in position in case the enemy comes, and they'll be trapped. They can't have no way to go across the river at the moment. So they set up their weaponry and get everything all lined up for the enemy, and you get to see what happens as people get tired and all that stuff and get sick of being out in the rain 24/7, and just mind starts playing tricks on you and stuff. This next story is Pascal the Rascal, which is basically Dennis the Menace. I mean, you got the parents and everybody in Dennis that are all look the same, have that same feel to them, and it's basically about a story about a kid that's a little shit, and his dad eventually starts writing down all the things he does and makes a different story, but the different story doesn't go well, so he ends up making a story more like Dennis the Menace, and it went over better, and then the Dennis the Menace character starts being like, well, if you're gonna be happy from my troubles, then I'm gonna change my ways and all that stuff, and all kinds of things happen. Interesting, but a real dickish Dennis the Menace character. And we get the Kiss of Death, which is a story where I want to say it's 3 or 4 gentlemen are, well, not really gentlemen, but they're all obsessed with a woman, and he makes a deal that whoever is last alive gets her, he gets to marry her or whatever. And we find out that there's one character left, and he's trying to find her, and so he can fall in love with her. I mean, like, not like she's gonna want some 80-year-old guy that's dying, but you get to see the interesting twist and what happens with that story. But yeah, they all had a nice EC Comics feel to them. Definitely interesting. So I was happy with those. That was a good one. Then we get Johnny Quest, which I'm not big on Johnny Quest, but every one I've read, the stories are fun, and it's got that little Indiana Jonesy or young Indiana Jones style feel to it. But in this one, they're out dealing with an expedition, and they're coming back on their ship. And they come back to their island, and they notice that it looks different. It's got a little different background to it and stuff. They're like, "What the heck's going on?" Get to their island and find out that there's this big metal box on the island, and when they get close to the box, it starts shaking, and a being comes out of it, burst out of it, and you get to find out why their island's changed a little bit, what's going on, who's behind all this stuff, and it was it was an enjoyable story, but then he cuts it off, so you don't really get deep into the story or deep enough into any of these stories in this one. It's all just quick little teasers. We get a Thundercats issue 1 teaser, which basically gives you the gist of them landing on the new planet and finding out about Lionel being a youngin and in the cryo chamber. When they pull him out, he's a full-fledged adult, and you get to see all that part of the storyline. To get you started with it, I reviewed the whole comic not long ago, so you can look at that too. And then we get a Space Ghost preview, which I was really happy about. So I've been curious where they're going, because with these designs, I expected it to be more adult, and the story definitely has that feel to it and that flow to it. But lots of stuff happening in there. Looking forward to seeing where it goes. We got a character that's causing a bunch of problems, and we get to see this version of the twins, and yeah, some fun stuff that kind of you get from the show and stuff. But yeah, I was curious if we were going to get the old school cartoony feel or not. First cover, I went with the cartoony cover from the old school Space Ghost, but yeah, it was nice seeing that teaser, so I knew what was up with it. So I was happy with. I'm glad I ordered what I did, and I'll definitely be enjoying Space Ghost for a while, I would think. Blood Hunt #1, and we get a Uncanny X-Men teaser in this one. Blood Hunt storyline. Definitely interesting. We get a variety of characters. Like a shark character, Spidey character. They're going through this portal, and certain people are, and it messes with your body when you go through it. We get Daredevil in this storyline. We get to see him battling a bunch of vampires with some really strange nunchucks that have a really long string in between them. That he's cutting people in half with the string, even though it looks like a normal piece of string, and there's no razor edge or anything to it that you see. We get is it Black Mambo? Oh, I think I'm saying her name wrong. I like her. I've read like 2 things. So not steampunk, punk mambo. That's it. I like what I've read of hers, so it was interesting. We get an introduction into a big vampire character eventually. And then we get Jubilee for the Uncanny X-Men, just like something's going on with the Xavier school. That they're tearing things down. She's watching what's going on. In the background, she gets chased down by some people that are trying to change things up while she's dealing with that. Some idiots that she runs across on the roadway. She comes across them at a diner, and there's a zebra gal that's a waitress at the diner that they're harassing, and Jubilee kind of puts them in their place, and we also get to see some other interesting things in the end of that story that will lead into the Uncanny X-Men new storyline that's going on. But that was a nice teaser there. I was glad to see that because I wanted to know. I knew I'd like the Blood Hunt storyline, but I wanted to see where it was starting out, where it was going. Got Investigators, class action sneak peek. John Patrick Green. And it's basically a couple Gator type characters just dealing with normal life, and then they have a case that they have to go on, and they go off and they deal with the case the way they have to. Uh, our one investigator happens to, while they're screwing around dealing with someone that's causing some issues with them, one of our characters falls into a stinky corpse plant. There is a corpse flower up at the Milwaukee Botanical Domes that every year it opens up and just stinks the whole place up, but tons of people go to check it out. But yeah, they're dealing with trying to do their jobs while they're also dealing with the partner's stink from being in the flower. And then this decontamination unit goes off on them, puts him through some extra decontamination to try and get rid of the smells and stuff that are emanating from his body. But yeah, this is fun, great for kids and stuff. And it's got its goofiness and things along with trying to solve a problem, plus giving you a nice little story, and then in the back you got some fun puzzles that you can play with. That's a great one for the kids. I'd say that's probably one of the top three to pick up for the kids. Witches of Brooklyn. Basically, a couple gals that are into witchcraft, uh, and I guess their teacher, maybe one of their grandparent. I don't know who she is overall to them, but she's got witchcraft store type place where she's got all the potions, and I'm guessing it's her home. But she's got all kinds of potions. She's got her witchcraft book and stuff. She has to go off and do something. So she gives the girl's page number in the red book to do a potion, get all the ingredients and mix it up while she's gone. And the books get knocked over and mixed up, and they try and figure out which one's the more red book, and they pick the wrong one. Go to page 108 or whatever it is, and make up their potion, and it happens to, while they're mixing everything, a drop of it ends up landing on one of the nutrition bars that that this gal has next to the cooking pot, the cauldron, and you can imagine what happens. Some things happen to her from the effects of the potion that they put together. I'm not going to give away the teaser of what happens to her and stuff, and how they have to try and fix it and figure out what's going on. And it's a fun story for that, for young kids, young adults. And then we get more puzzles in the back and games that they can play, and a nice little advertisement for our friends Art Baltazar Cat in the Hat book, which we just got our sealed copy in the mail, plus we got our signed copy from the release party that Anthony was nice enough to pick up for us. And then we get the Overstreet Guide to Collecting Comics. I don't know, I read this again thinking it's a little different than the last year's story, but parts of it I felt were different. Other parts were felt like the same. But it's basically teaching you how to collect comics, how to store comics, how to bag comics, how to protect your comics, take care of comics, different comic collectors, how you deal with customers in the comic shop, how people act, how you should act. And it's a nice story for that. But yeah, and all kinds of parodies of big time comics from the past. Just seeing all the different aspects of being a comic shop owner, a comic collector, comic fan, or someone that's new to the whole game. But it's great for you if you want to know those things. But I just feel like this was the exact same story or very close to the story that they gave us last year. So it's, yeah, didn't really show me nothing new. So I wasn't too impressed. It is nice though. If you haven't read it, that's a great. It's a good long story. Lots of fun information in there on how to take care of your comics and how to collect comics. I got the Night Librarian. This one's got a little synopsis I can read. When night falls, the real magic begins. This is Paige. This is Turner. The New York Public Library has always been their favorite place, but lately things have gotten weird. Things like a dragon imprint on the ceiling and a giant beanstalk. Turns out the books are bursting with magic, and suddenly all sorts of villains are escaping from their books, threatening to destroy the whole library. Now it's up to Paige and Turner. I get it, Paige Turner. As well as a mysterious night librarian and a motley crew of escaped storybook characters. Save this beloved library from destruction before it's too late. Yeah, we get to see a giant beanstalk appear out of a book and stuff. And we got other books that are impresses that are trying to be secured so they don't burst open, but apparently at night, some of the books, the magic inside wants to burst out of them. And all kinds of things can happen, can come out of the book's pages. And if you're in the library, you're going to be dealing with whatever happens. It's like the beanstalk. You got to worry. Are you going to see Jack or are you going to see a giant? Or it's like, or are you going to be lucky and see the golden goose? Who knows what's going to pop out of there? But yeah, that was an enjoyable read for kids. Another awesome read for kids every year is Marvel Spidey and his amazing friends. This says, and it shows you nicely how to read a comic in the beginning if you've never read a comic before. And it surprised me when I found out people can't figure out how to go panel by panel. I was pretty surprised by that. Some people that don't know how to do that. But we get another fun story in it. In this one focuses on Hulk's birthday. So they're got a surprise party going on for the Hulk, but they're trying to find the Hulk, and when they're trying to find the Hulk, they come across other characters, and the other characters, the baddies get put in their place, and the other ones get invited to the party and stuff. And we got a Spider-Gwen lost and found storyline where she lost her headphones and she's searching all over for them. We get some fun games and stuff you get to play throughout here, and you get to see what happens whether or not she finds her cell phone or not. We get a tagging along story in here. You get a variety of fun little stories. They're pretty quick ones. Like that one's a 2-pager. You got a play ball story game where they get a little baseball game going on. They're trying to figure out why these things are getting broken in the city, who's causing it, where these baseballs are coming from, and it just so happens two big characters are playing baseball together and just hitting it out of the park. A little drawing that you can finish the drawing and then color it and stuff. Yeah, this is a really good one for the kids. at the top of the kids list. Then we get Romeo versus Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare adventure. Anthony Del Cole, Stefan Toshev. Don't know those names either. But this one you get the Shakespearean style feel to the storyline. You get a Romeo and Juliet story where you're seeing that Juliet's dead and Romeo does his thing, and then all of a sudden Juliet gets up and starts battling a bunch of people. Find out some more things about the Romeo and Juliet poisoning along the way. Uh, we get Macbeth in this storyline, so you're getting a variety of Shakespeare characters, and you're just basically seeing twists and turns of these characters in different views than what we're used to. But I was never a fan of Shakespeare stuff, so I wasn't too big on this one, but you do get a deeper history of the creators and stuff and what the whole concept was. But didn't care for that one much. But we do in this stack, there is a lot of good ones. We're starting to hit them now. The more adult good ones now. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who is Nightwatcher? This is a great introduction to that character. If you know nothing about it, we get to see some other animalistic style characters causing a bunch of trouble in the city. And then we find out who they really are and stuff and what's going on with that. And you get to see the nice little twists and turns, and then you get to see what's up with the Nightwatcher. I keep wanting to say Night Watchman. Then we got Splinter's Day Off. And this one's done by Paul Lore, Andy Kuhn, Rhonda Pattison, Nathan Wittick working on that one. The first storyline, we got Juni Ba, Barrel P, Lewis and Woo. I usually get 4 now. I used to be a 3-time sneezer. It usually hits me 4 times, sometimes a lot more. I used to be mainly a 3-time sneezer on that one. Yeah. A lot of names I don't know. We're not seeing no Kevin Eastman and stuff in here. So, these are just all going to be new creators that are doing the Turtle lines, but I did like that first story. The second story was great too, with Splinter's Day Off. Basically, kids are being rambunctious and restless and arguing with each other when they're trying to do each of their own things. So Splinter sends them off to go and learn to work together. And while they're still arguing, the Foot Clan attack them. And while this is going on, Splinter plays with all the stuff that they were playing with and has some fun in the back at home, causing some trouble in his own way. But yeah, that was great. And then they have a bunch of advertisements in the back for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Usagi Yojimbo. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Ediku trilogy continues. You got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book, TMNT Stranger Things crossover. And there's so much TMNT and Usagi Yojimbo stuff coming out this year for the 40th anniversaries for both of them. So that's awesome. Lots of goodness. Then we get FarCry called The Herd. This is manga version of FarCry. I liked it. The storyline just doesn't give you that Far Cry feel until the end. I mean, you got the characters dealing with life, kind of like in a work camp type environment. They're working fields for some evil idiot, and they don't really show who's the main person in control of everything, but they show one of the watchmen kind of like going off on the girls, beating them and stuff. and them trying to make an escape for things, and then where they escape to ends up going out. And I can't show that because that's the last 2 pages, but it's takes you into kind of a Far Cry world from the past. I'll just say that. But yeah, we get some interesting information and stuff in the back about the whole anniversary of Far Cry. You get some art pages and stuff showing you the how they did it and how they worked on laying out the story and stuff. It's done by Awan Lab, Ryan Nichols, Alyssa Bartolucci, and then I'm sure they have a variety of covers for that. I might like it once I see what the rest of the story is, but all the way up until the part that actually felt like Far Cry, it just wasn't pulling me in. I'm thinking we could probably, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 comics left. Yeah, we'll try it. I think we could get away with finishing this off maybe in less than 45 minutes. We'll see what happens. Got Gannibal. This is apparently on Hulu. It's done by Blaze Manga and Masaki Minamaya, but it's again a manga style layout with a story about cannibalism, basically, and it's something I don't really care for. Never really thrilled with the cannibalistic storylines, but you get to see people that are dead, characters that are trying to figure out what's going on, and are finding out that they're all in this village that just so happens to everybody sticks together and they want things a certain way. We got a new police officer working for the village, and him and his family got to realize what they have to do in order to stay part of that village and not end up being food themselves. So it's like, yeah, I don't care for it. That didn't really grab me in any way, shape, or form. Then, since it's on May the 4th be with you, we actually did get 2 Star Wars comics, and then there's also some more Star Wars related teasers that we'll be talking about later. But this one by Soul, Robertson, and Rosenberg, Pac, Rosanas, and Goru FX. Basically, Charles Soule, Abram Robinson did the first storyline, and Rochelle Rosenberg and BC's Clayton Culls did Return to Echo Base, and then Greg Pak, Ramon Rosanas, Guru FX, and VC's Joe Caramagna did The Curse. The first story, we basically get to go back to Hoth, which is kind of cool. Actually, really cool. I liked that they went back to Hoth. We get to see them get into some weather problems, and they have to find a place to hold out until they can go check out the whole Hoth related area. And well, they check out the Hoth related area first, and that's what causing them to have to find a place to hide because they get chased by some Imperials that were in that still in the Hoth battle area, and they cause a bunch of problems and stuff. And in order to keep from being in the frozen wasteland, they have to find a place to dwell, and they pick a very interesting place. And then the final story, The Curse, basically shows our character being a Jedi that we don't know about, and we're seeing Darth Vader's dark side being brought out in here. We're seeing a variety of evil characters and good characters that end up causing some problems at like a cantina environment in here. And it was an interesting story, an interesting look at some characters I didn't know before. I mean, they're basically focusing on Luke and wanting this gal who apparently worked with Luke, knows where Luke is and stuff. They're trying to get information from her. And I like them. I like both those stories. I'd definitely be up for going a little deeper, learning more about those, see where they go. But I just never know how long the Star Wars storylines will end up going. So I just prefer to wait for trades now with those. Then we get Barkham Asylum, which I know I got a teaser for this not long back. But Yehudi Mercado is in charge of this, creator of this one. And you get to see the Joker and his crew causing problems. And we got Joker's two dogs, and the skinny one there just happens to be wandering around doing whatever. Always loyal to the Joker and just wanting to have some fun, and sees a cat, chases a cat, and the cat is all hungry and starving, and he helps the cat out along the way to get some food. And we get to see what happens when the dog goes back to the Joker's crew, and they end up having some problems with the cops and everything going on with Batman and stuff. And the cat keeps trying to tell him, "Hey, why don't you just get away from those people? Those people aren't good for you. They're bad. They're evil." And it's fun watching these two characters working together, not working together, trying to help each other out, not wanting to help, and all that. And it's just, it was a very enjoyable story. I definitely like to go deeper with these two characters, get more on those. And then we get Diana and the hero's journey. I get basically a look at Diana, a younger girl, growing up, learning the learning everything about life and stuff, and just dealing with her warrior persona and things that she can do. I'm not a big fan of the whole Wonder Woman storylines that they've come up with, but it shows her in a different light. Shows her kind of learning some things to deal with events in the future, like bandits attacking and stuff like that. So it's an enjoyable story if you're into it, but it just didn't grab me. It wasn't my kind of story. This I was really happy they brought out because I was curious about it. I was hanging on a thread, debating whether or not to get the first issue pre-ordered. We got Flash Gordon. This is done by Jeremy Adams, Will Conrad, Lee Luridge, and Taylor Esposito. And we get to see Flash kind of he's dealing with stuff with the Mongol. You got Emperor Ming and stuff, the whole Mongol uh, faction, and I think Flash Gordon's dead or gone, and Ming wants his body, wants proof that he's dead, and he gets Flash's body, and then some trickery happens, some things go on, and we end up seeing what happens when the whole Flash gang goes to battle, and we're getting to see you get to see a lot of characters in this teaser issue that is great because it definitely made me wanna know more where the storyline's going. I was worried they were gonna focus more on the old stories and kind of just run off them again. But seeing this side of Ming and seeing with Flash and who he's all got with him, that was definitely enjoyable. We got a timeline layout that shows you what to order if you want to follow the whole Flash Gordon thing as it goes on. It looks like they're going to do Flash Gordon's ongoing series, then Defenders of the Earth, then Flash Gordon Quarterly, and then collections and original graphic novels from Flash Gordon. The timeline, how if you want to read them in a continual nice timeline, then you get some nice concept art in the back. So that one was a big plus. Really enjoyed that. Next one was a blast. Tons of Strange. When I seen this, I'm thinking EC Comics feel. It's going to be goofy. But no, this is more. We get Sip and Saber, which is done by Justin Sane and John Hagman Jr. We get Oarsman, which is Colt B. Sanders III and Matt Ritchie. And then we get Becoming Frankenstein, Elizabeth's Tale by Mel Smith and Sean Hood and Mike Gustovich and Vic Moya. But our first Sip and Saber story is a nice little Star Wars parody, kind of going to Disney World and drinking the blue milk, and they have a variety of different drinks, different colored milks and stuff the characters get to drink from while they're building their own lightsabers. And it's interesting what happens with the lightsabers as the story progresses. But they do a big parody on, if you've ever seen the Star Wars holiday special. We have our mod character and some other characters from that in here. So if you get fun little parodies off that and stuff, if you know those characters at all and ever watched that terrible, terrible movie. Then we get the Oarsman, which is basically a character that's kind of got like, and he's got a face, I'm sure, underneath it all. He's got like a wooden thing with a Cyclops eye drawn on it, and a face kind of drawn on the wood planks. And he's basically traveling by boat, trying to just do his thing, and he ends up getting into a battle, which this also parodies off of Star Wars. And he gets in his little oar turns into like a lightsaber, and he's got to battle some characters along the way. And we get to see who he takes by boat across the ocean. Then we get this that page because it'll show the end of the other page. We get this Lady Frankenstein style story, which I thought the story was called Lady Frankenstein that this was running off of, but they call it Becoming Frankenstein, Elizabeth's Tale, so it might be a prequel to that story because I could have swore that's what it was called in the upcoming catalogs or last month's previews catalog. But yeah, it was okay. Basic Frankenstein stuff. It's basically I got so bored with the whole in the old school, everybody hating her because she's a woman. You can't do science. You're not smart enough to read. Why would you want Frankenstein's books? It's like you're a woman, so you're illiterate. All that type of stuff. Like really, we have to go there. But if you're gonna do old stories, I guess you gotta run off the old storylines and everything that happened in the past with how people reacted and behaved. Next one I would say is the Book of the Con. Or the Book of the Con, the Book of the Free Comic Book Day 2024. I think this is the best one. Mad Magazine has been so much fun lately. I haven't been getting all the issues. I just get one here randomly here and there. But if you have been checking these out, it's really gone into the superhero world, superhero, supervillain, the whole comic book world. But you get like a mad look at Batman. It's fun him flushing a toilet and getting his cape caught in it and stuff. And just him writing on a fence. Superman is Clark Kent. It's all kinds of fun little things. And one of my favorite parts of these are they'll do different characters. In this one, they do a nice variety of them, but you get the Batman funnies. And you can see it's like I can't think of her name. The character that this one's parodying off of. Uh, it's like on the tip of my tongue. But you get a Far Side parody, you get a Peanut style parody, you get a Calvin and Hobbes style parody. Oh, what's her name? It's a single name girl. I just can't think of it. You get comic scene we'd like to see. Of course, you get Spy versus Spy. You get Joker funnies, which is the same parodying layouts, but you get Garfield, Far Side, Peanuts, and Blondie and Dagwood on that one are being parodied. I love this. It's Bring Your Sidekick to Work Day. And the sidekicks are just calling out things like Batman's hiding in the corner in the dark shadows, and Dick says he does that when he's gassy. Batman gets mad at him, and Dick's like, he's gassy a lot. And you got Wonder Woman's little sidekick. She's drawn pictures of Wonder Woman with a mustache and stuff, and her eyebrows turned into a unibrow and stuff, and talking about how she has to pluck every day. It's fun watching the sidekicks pick on the adults. We get a Sergio Argones presents a mad look at Justice League, which is if you've ever seen Sergio Argone, it definitely holds up to that style fun parody that he's always done. Get a mad look at Superman, watching him do his thing and all kinds of things, going in a different way than you would expect. I love this a super opportunity where Superman jumps in the phone booth to go save some people being attacked, and when he does, a homeless man that notices him running in and out of the phone booth goes and takes his clothes. You get Shazam gets some parodies of Family Circle, Peanuts, again the Far Side, and Calvin and Hobbes on that one. You get Black Adam joins the Justice League. You can just imagine how everybody's going to hate Black Adam and how he's going to react. We get modern hassles that Superman would face if he really returned. Movie scenes we'd like to see. One day in Metropolis. It's just one afternoon in Metropolis. Some Aquaman funnies. That parody off Calvin and Hobbes, The Far Side. The Peanuts again, and then Dilbert. You get more powerful than a locomotive. Fun little Superman black and white story there. A what if Batman story in the back. And of course, your page that you fold up. I'm not going to give it away. I folded it, of course, to find out. But yeah, this I'd say is the best of Free Comic Book Day, and the worst of Free Comic Book Day is still that stupid suicidal book. And then the final one we got here, I'm like, well, this looks like manga, Initial D, but then I'm like, well, isn't this the cover? But then it's got the thing on it, the code on it. This is apparently the cover page. Well, I read it backwards, and then I then I realized that, and then I reread it. Don't really get it. The first one basically starts out with a car race, and you get to see a couple of kids that are talking about different cars and what they'd like and how much the cars are, and so they're obviously wanting to get into whatever that initial D race is. It's by Suchi Shigano. And then we also get Kaina of the Great Snow Sea in here. This one's done by Tsutoma Nihai and Ito Takamoto. This one's kind of like got this floating thing that, and it's like a bunch of giant floating plant structure, kind of like a has some land on top, and got these characters on these water beasts that are chasing after it, and they're trying to catch it and rope it and grab hold of it. And while they are, they're being chased by other characters that are trying to also get their hands on this device or this item. And they're there. There's the other characters that are hunting them down. Didn't really have. I mean, both of these kind of left you wondering what these stories are really about. But actually, I suppose I didn't notice this. I suppose I could have read this. But this is for the Kaani of the Great Snow thing, but a young man named Kaani X ekes out an existence high atop the canopy that spreads from the Titanic orbital spire trees. And that thing did come out of a group of trees. He and the handful of aging villagers who remain believe they are the last humans in the world. After all, no one could survive amid the great snow sea. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's constantly snowing and the sea's getting deeper, apparently. That blankets the surface below. But they're about to learn how wrong they were. But yeah, those two, not really sure what they're about overall, and they didn't pull me in, but yeah. That is the last of Free Comic Book Day 2024. We did it. Got it into 4 episodes, even though the fourth one's a little longer. But oh well. So keep subscribing, checking out, liking, helping out Under the Cull of MS. Check out Crimson Cull Comic Club. Got another creator interview coming up. Probably the week after this comes out or so. So, a week or two after this comes out. But check it out, and we will get back to you with more fun in the future. Hopefully you enjoy it. Keep sending comments and stuff. We'll give you shout outs and stuff on the normal podcast, which I didn't do one last week. I got to put one out this week since I didn't put one out last week. But I want to put one a week out for they just talk about whatever thing. But I will shut up now. Talk to you again soon, and take care. Have a great week.